So first day in pads, got a lot of good work in, particularly in the running game, which was a point of emphasis. So took the pads off of them today, and we are in a 3rd and 10+ day. So a little bit harder than the 6-9 day, but work we need to get after.
What were your initial thoughts yesterday on McKeith and Azudu?
Much like everybody else, some good, some bad. They're working hard. They're trying to do things the way we're asking them to do. They have a good physical demeanor about themselves. They pick things up well, and there was a lot of good reps out there for them. And some, they probably wish they had back, but that's for all of us.
Want to find the 5 best offensive linemen and just play those guys in games, or here and where you came from in New England, there have been times where 6-7 offensive linemen rotate in a game? What's your preference?
Yeah, this is usually a hot topic every summer when we're talking about offensive linemen, which I understand the question. We're going to keep rotating the players around. There's obviously certain guys that, Andrew Thomas is our left tackle. But I think the more guys can get reps, if Andrew Thomas comes out in a preseason game, then who's going to go ahead and go in for him? And the more position flexibility they can create for themselves, and maybe you find something, a good combination that works. But right now we're gonna mix and match, and eventually we'll settle on the 5 that are out there. I think that's important to have some good communication with one another. But I think when you work with other guys, that helps the communication process as well.
But you're saying ideally when regular season.
Yeah, ideally you'd like to have 5 guys. Now if it's close, then you always, hey, maybe give this guy 2 series, the next guy 2 series, and see how it's going in the game relative to the matchup.
How big a impression did Dexter Lawrence before you got here, and what are your expectations for him, and how has he looked early on?
He's looked good. He's powerful. He came in shape. He's a very smart player. I've been very impressed in the defensive meetings as he sits down and Wink goes through the defense, and he just doesn't know the front part of it. He's got some good awareness what's going on behind him. He's got a great attitude. I think he has tremendous leadership for our team. He's practiced really well since he's been here. Glad we have him.
Is he a guy that you think that wants to take that leadership mantle a little bit, having been here for a little bit?
I don't know. That'd be a good question for him. I mean, I've seen it out here. He leads, his way, which I think it's important that all players lead their own way. But I think players gravitate toward him because he's a talent. But he also is a very smart player, which, if you're talented and smart, usually that lends to being a pretty good leader.
How big a setback is it for Belton to, this is probably, he's not going to have much of a training camp as a rookie now.
Yeah, it's always tough. You feel terrible for guys that happens to. But he is smart. He was having a really good camp and doing a really good job with Love and X, and we were throwing him in there. He's diligent. I'd say he's out there. He's out there at walkthroughs. He's out there at practice. He's really good in the film room. Does it hurt that you're not out there? Absolutely. But he's really mature for a young player too. So as soon as we can get him out there, that'll be great. Up until then, we'll work with whatever we can with relative to the meetings, the practices. The time on task is always helpful.
Is that a situation where you'll probably have to put him on IR to start the year?
Not that I'm today. I don't know yet. Yeah.
Does he need surgery?
No. Nope.
Avoid surgery.
Brian, your third safety situation, Adams, I presume, would be heavily in the mix there.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll throw all those guys out there, let them rep it out, compete with one another, and we'll see how it goes. We've got a lot of practices left, a lot of games left. Well, we're gonna have to figure that one out, and until Belton gets back, and when Belton gets back, we'll still have to have guys ready to go.
Where does Feliciano stand?
Should be out here today. I don't think he'll be doing a whole lot relative to team stuff, but he's real close.
Since you got here, we're hired. Everybody wants, the automatic thought is, oh, he's going to do to Daniel what you did with Josh in Buffalo. Do people come up to you, and do you hear that chatter from whether it's friends or colleagues, whatever, it may be not colleagues, but, and what's your answer to that? Because it's obviously different people and different players.
Maybe early, but that's exactly the answer. That Daniel's his own person. We're doing the best job we can at trying to figure out the pieces we have around Daniel, what we can do well, and we keep tinkering with that. That'll be a constant until we we get here into the start of the season. Daniel's been working hard, but in no way would I compare Daniel with Josh. That's not fair. He's his own person. He's working hard. And look, developing an offense or a defense or a team, let's just say a team, that's when you're first starting out as a head coach, new staff, new players. It takes a lot of work. And we're still, very much a work in progress.
Just a quick follow-up, because he's such a polarizing figure here. Do you feel the overreaction if there's a bad practice or even a bad goal line series, whatever it may be, in the early stages?
Yeah, you try to help players focus on what they can control, which is their ability to prepare, their ability to be a good teammate, their ability to go out there and execute, and focus on that rather than anything else. But you understand people are human. They're not much older than my older kids, and you learn to deal with different people differently. You have some empathy for guys when they're going through, whether it's a tough stretch, and I'm not saying he's going through a tough stretch, I'm saying in general with any player. That's just, I think, being a good person. Try to lead him the best way you can and get him to focus on the things that he can focus on, whether it's Daniel or Tyrod or Saquon or Dex or Leo. But each person's different. Each person reacts different to different things. The biggest thing is, take the coaching, listen to the people in the room that are coaching them, and then work to get better.
When you were evaluating Josh early in his career, was there anything he was doing before we saw the magic and the great play on the field, off the field, that said, something's coming? Because it wasn't always perfect for him early on.
Yeah. I appreciate the question. I understand the question. My focus on Daniel. Love Josh. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Josh, but my focus is more on Daniel right now.
Well, then, I guess big picture with quarterbacks then,
Sure.
Specifically, what do you look for in a quarterback off the field or in the meetings or things like that might give you a sign, foreshadowing, if you will?
Yeah, I don't know if you have foreshadowing. I've been around a lot of different ones. I've seen, Tom Brady. I've seen Brett Favre. I've seen Jake Delhomme. I've seen Chad Pennington. I've seen Colt McCoy. I've seen Josh Allen. I've seen Brady Quinn, Derek Anderson. They're all different. Quarterbacks usually work extremely hard, and each of them lead a little bit differently, have different talents. Is the system suited to what they do well? How much, time on task is there for a quarterback, in the same system? I think that's important. I think it's very important. You change the system after system after system after system. That's hard on any quarterback.
What have you seen early on from Yusef Corker? He seemed like a guy who was going to get drafted, came in highly motivated as that UFA, and now with Belton's injury, it seems like he'd be a guy who has a chance. Yeah,
I think he's been improving each day, along with the rest of those guys. But he definitely has some good awareness, some good skill set. He's instinctive. He's done a good job of improving, much like all the rookies that we have, and he'll get his opportunities.
What do you see from Saquon? What do you see from Saquon? Because obviously the last couple of years really have been a tough year, and I'm sure when you looked on film, his first year compared to the last couple of years wasn't the same. So I'm curious, where do you see?
Are you talking about his entire game?
I'm just talking about how he looks physically, explosiveness.
Yeah, he looks explosive. He hit one yesterday and got out into the open field, and I don't know what his GPS numbers, but it was high. He was moving pretty good. He's explosive. He's quick. He's strong. He looks good to me.
Where are you when you come to a new situation where the team hasn't been winning, where certain guys have baggage? Obviously, Saquon coming off the injuries, Daniel struggling. Leonard Williams never been to the playoffs. There's a lot of guys that have that. How do you handle that as a new coach coming in and just cleaning the slate or whatever it may be? And do you feel fresh? Do you feel it's like there's a freshness with these guys?
I think that's what it is. Each year in this league is such a new year. I think you just work to get better each day. I don't think you can focus on what happened in the past. I certainly don't. Wherever I've been, whether it was productive, not productive, you live in the moment with the people that you're working with. You try to do the best job you can with whatever role you're asked to do, whether it's a player, a position coach, a head coach. We all have responsibilities. Focus on those. Understand what we need to do to get better. Be clear with expectations and standards, and just take it day by day.
You don't feel compelled to have conversations with anybody like that, or anything like that, to talk about, hey.
Yeah, those guys can talk to me about whatever, but I think the more you look in the rearview mirror or you look too far ahead, you lose what's most important, which is today.